When I was writing Trouble with Telepaths, there was a slightly more extended universe than what I ended up including in the final story. Several characters and a few story arcs simply did not fit in with the narrative structure that I decided on. Today, my faithful readers, I'm going to treat you to one of those deleted scenes. Those of you that have already finished the book will be able to testify that this deleted scenes doesn't fit the structure, but like many deleted scenes in many other media, once you know, it was a possibility you forever view what you've already seen differently. Trouble with Telepaths is available to read for free on Kindle Unlimited. A man and a woman came into the mini-mart, then looked around. "There's no one here," the man said. "No one at all," the woman sighed. "Just be patient. He'll be here." The man touched the woman's arm. "Hey, that could be a complication." The woman looked where he was pointing, then shrugged. "Why?" "He's a cop," the man said. "Can't you tell?" "I'm not a mindworm," she said in a rather annoyed voice. The man looked annoyed. "Definitely a cop. Maybe a telekinetic as well. Not one of ours, though. Very on edge, and I'm having a hard time penetrating his head." Marcy looked at the car that had just pulled into the spot they indicated. There were no marks on the car or any kind to indicate it was owned by a cop. The woman looked around as if distressed. "We need more men," she said. "Lots more men." The man looked concerned, then made eye contact with Marcy. He smiled reassuringly. "We need to put some distance between us and the checkout girl. She's starting to think we're kinda strange." "To be fair," the woman said, "we are." The man rolled his eyes. "That joke wasn't even funny. Okay, I've got Dark Knight on the hook. He's on his way." The two fanned out, and each bought a candy and a drink before sitting at different tables. A few minutes later, another man came into the place and sat next to the first. Then a woman came in, but she didn't sit. She approached Marcy and asked to use the restroom. Before she disappeared into the bathroom, she made eye contact with the first one and nodded. The first woman held up her hand and tapped the back of her wrist, indicating they were in some kind of hurry. Time rolled by, and the car that the first guy identified as a cop was still sitting in his vehicle. The group that had come in was getting antsier and antsier as the minutes rolled by. The second woman was still in the bathroom. How long had it been? 10 minutes? 20? Marcy didn't want to say anything, though. It was 10 in the morning on a Monday, so the present strange company aside no real business was expected for a while. Just then, everyone in the building shifted and shuffled. They were very clearly trying to look nonchalant. Maybe it was convincing to the guy that walked in just after that. Maybe not. He walked in the door, looked around, then turned and looked at the car sitting in front of the mini-mart. The newcomer hung his head and sighed. He took a breath, then walked back and grabbed an empty due. He brought it up to Marcy, gave it to her and the money to buy it. Then he looked her in the eye and said, "There's a heavy tip in it for you if you hold on to that for me while I take care of some business." Marcy entered the price for the soda, and then the new guy ducked behind the counter. Gunshots rang out. The first woman was the first to speak. "Death, don't do this. This nice young girl hasn't done anything to anyone. Fate, my old friend." Death called from behind some of the aisles of snacks. Fate turned to the guy that came in with her. "Dice, can you get a fix on him?" Dice shook his head. "Not well enough to." Just then, from the bathrooms, another set of shots rang out. "Lightning bolt!" Fate yelled out. "We're trying to take him alive." "You are?" Lightning bolt yelled back. "I'm trying to get me out of this alive." Death called out from among the aisles. "Are you guys planning to call Dark Knight in any time soon?" Fate tried to advance towards the voice. "Dark Knight isn't here, Death. It's just us." Death laughed. All this time, I thought you were trying to use me to hunt him. Now I see the truth. You're trying to turn us on each other and only have to deal with the winner." Fate looked like she's never considered this idea before. She looked back to Leather Jacket, who shrugged. Then she looked at Dice, who nodded. Death called out, "Oh, none of you thought of that, eh? I don't believe it." Fate and Lightning Bolt were both closing in on where Death had last been heard. Then Lightning Bolt yelled out, "Fate, back up!" It was too late. Death leapt out of the aisle, throwing snacks at Fate. He tackled her and twisted her arm, disarming her. Gunshots rang out all around the mini-mart, and then Marcy was able to see that they were shooting some kind of darts instead of bullets. All that is, except Lightning Bolt. Her shots cut across the wall behind Marcy like a hole punch. Death rolled across the ground with Fate's dart gun, and a shot hit Lightning Bolt in the leg. Within moments, she was out cold. It took another minute for Death to put a shot into Fate, but Leather Jacket and the rest backed out of the mini-mart. Death walked up to Marcy as she cowered behind the register and dropped $100 bill on her as he took his MT due. "Thanks for holding on to this," he said. Then he turned to leave.